Hello, and thank you for watching. This video will walk you through the key highlights and important information about the upcoming Parsons High project. My name is Leslie Racco, and I am the Public Relations and Communications Lead here at Synergy North. Before we dive into the details of the work being planned, I'd like to introduce today's presenters. Joining us today are Carla Bailey, Vice President, System Planning and Asset Management and Engineering at Synergy North, who will be kicking things off shortly, as well as Hunter Carroll, Lines Technician in our Forestry Division, who will be speaking about the forestry-related work for this project. Now, to get us started, I will pass things over to Carla, who will give you an overview of the project.
Thank you, Leslie. Great to be here talking about our Parsons High Phase 1 project. So as you can see here, the extents of the project are shown in the highlighted yellow. So we are in many easement areas around Hourigan Crescent, comes down Margaret Street. So the way these extents are shown are of our electrical system. So you may see that it doesn't go street to street because some of our pole lines do run in easement areas. So this is where the electrical extents of the project are. There's often confusion on the lines that are connected to the poles, whether they're all Synergy Norths or whether they're owned by others. So to clarify, the top wires are typically Synergy Norths. They're electrical wires. Once you get lower down on the pole, those are communication wires. So telephone, high-speed fiber. So those can be T-Baytel, Bell, Shaw, or Rogers. So we do not own those. Synergy North owns the poles, the electrical transformers in these photos. That can be either the ones that are on the ground in green on the left-hand side of your screen, or in the middle there's a gray can-looking device that's mounted on the pole. And so those are owned by Synergy North. Those are our transformers. In addition, we do own the meter that's mounted on your home and the meter base. So what can you expect when Synergy North comes to do a rebuild in your neighborhood? In this project, it's an overhead project. So that means we'll be replacing the poles, which requires us to set new poles in the ground. And we try to do that in the most cost-effective ways we can, which will mean either drilling a hole or using a machine that drills the hole with water called a hydrovac. So we'll put the holes in place and then set the poles after that. There is some cases where we can't get truck access, where we have used cranes to replace those poles, and that may be possible in this project as well, depending on, as I mentioned, how we can access those areas. And often, so when we do set the pole, we will put, because we've taken material out of the ground to make the hole is larger than the pole. So when we put the pole in, we have to put that dirt and material around it, and we do pile it up around the pole. So when it initially goes in, it will look like there's more dirt than is needed, but it does settle. So it slowly settles, and we do that on purpose to accommodate for that. Now, what can you expect in terms of power to your home? For outages, those will typically only occur during the service change. So when the actual line to your home is transferred over to the new line. So while we're setting poles, we can do that without interrupting any of the power to your home. And when we do have an outage, you will receive a phone call from Synergy North indicating when that will occur. Typically, that's 5 days in advance. So please update your contact information. If you're watching this and you're not sure whether the right phone number is on file with Synergy North, please give us a call and let us know, because that's how we've been providing outage notifications to our customers. In terms of traffic disruptions, our crews follow all of the OHSA traffic rules. We don't typically close a road. We'll leave one lane open to allow residential traffic through. But there will be vehicles in and around your neighborhood, either Synergy North branded or our subcontractors who are helping us with the project. So we have a campaign, hit the brakes, not us. Please slow down when you're in or around these construction crews. It does make our jobs much easier, and we appreciate that. And then finally, in terms of noise, our crews operate during 8 to 4, typically. So that's when you'll hear the most of our construction happening. But we do, in some cases, have to have outages after hours, depending on the service changes and the type of work we do.
The pre-construction forestry work in this Parsons High area was completed already last year. So to give you a bit of a rundown on what occurred, we went into the area, conducted site visits for the vegetation trimming that was required. All of that vegetation was trimmed to provide 3 meters clearance from the overhead lines. And we cleaned up and removed all of the clippings from that work we did. So in the future, we encourage customers to plant the right tree in the right place. What this means is planting appropriate types, sizes of trees in the right locations. So within 15 feet of our overhead lines is a good place to plant shrub species. Coming out to around 25 feet, slower growing, smaller species are suitable, like your apples, your cherries. And beyond that 25 feet from overhead lines is where you can plant larger species, such as your spruce, pine, firs, or hardwoods, like maples. Now I'll hand it back over to Carla to.
So a couple of interesting facts about this project that you might appreciate. There is a total of 275 customers in this project and one school. Bishop Gallagher is in the project area, and we are doing work on their electrical service. So what you will see happen in the project is that we're going to install 126 new wood poles. We are going to reuse 21 of the poles that are there. So how we determine this is if they are still in good condition, and this happens where a pole, for some reason, has been replaced because it's at end of life, or unfortunately, it's been in a motor vehicle accident and has been replaced. So it might have just been replaced in the last 5 years. Rather than replacing it again, we just reframe that pole and reuse it. So 21 of the poles in the project area here are being reframed. We'll see 10,485 meters of new overhead wire, which is quite a bit for a small area, but important to make sure that it's in good condition to get that electricity to your home. And then 22 overhead transformers. Those are those gray can-like transformers that I mentioned at the very start that are mounted on the top of the pole. And the total project cost, which Synergy North will incur from start to finish, is $3 million. So our typical design practices when we're doing a rebuild such as this is to design and replace in a like-for-like manner. Now, that's not always possible, and in particular in this project, we are trying to reroute some of the poles and wires from back lanes. Some of the back lanes are very small, so narrow. It's very difficult for us to get truck access in there, and in particular, it's very difficult to do that during an emergency. And so we are rerouting some of those lines into the front of onto roadways so that we are able to access and minimize the outage time that customers are experiencing. So looking again at the project extents, you can see that we are very much, we're along the road on Margaret Street, but in behind Horrigan Crescent, we're in what we call an easement area. So that's an area that the City of Thunder Bay, it's City of Thunder Bay property, but they allow Synergy North to place their poles down there. Similarly, we're along Balsam and into behind Keith and behind Simcoe Street. So what I'm going to show you next is some of the system changes. So there is a couple different system changes that occur when we do a project. You won't see any of the types of blue system changes in this project. We're not moving any of the overhead wires underground or doing any underground replacements, but you will see orange changes and green changes. So we've highlighted them on our map, and then I'm going to describe them all to you. So an orange change is where there's a new pole or a wire in a location that it didn't exist prior to the project. And a green is a change that's slightly more minimal in that it's not a new pole, but it is moving the pole from where it was less than 5 meters over. So the first area here, there's a couple of green. I've put them together, the green and orange changes, because I know that it's easier to see when it's right beside each other here. So on the corner of Margaret and Shunya, there is a pole where you see a circle with an R in it. That's the reframed poles that's being reused. So you won't see a change on that pole. But going down the street, there will be a shift of a pole. So where there's a circle with a red X, that means that pole is getting removed. And then there's one on the right and one on the left there in terms of new poles and a pole shift. And that's just to accommodate, that's a three-phase line that comes down that road. And so it is important that we keep spacing between those poles adequate to carry the line. Down on Doris, in between Mona and Mannion, just west of Doris, you can see there's a couple new poles going in that direction, and that's to get service down that laneway. Okay, as I mentioned earlier, a lot of the work here is moving some of these services out from back lanes into the front. So some of the new poles that you're seeing here is because of that. So there will be new poles down Margaret. I know there's not any properties or residences on the north side, that's the park, but there is some on the other side. You can see here down Keith, there is one there on the corner. And then again, making sure that we anchor that line properly on the western side there with a couple new poles. Similarly here, continuing down Margaret, we're now going past the park and heading down that hill there. You can see that there's a pole shift. So there was already two poles there, the ones that have a black circle with the red X's in them, and they're moving less than 5 meters east. We're also putting some new anchoring as the pole line goes in back behind Horrigan to make sure that that pole line stays stable. You can see that it's three-phase, again, continuing down Margaret. And then we're working on a new pole there on Doris Street. So next up, we're on Simcoe. So again, we've continued down Balsam, and we're now here where Balsam and Simcoe intersect. You can see there's a pole shift there on Balsam, where an old pole will be decommissioned. And two pole lines intersect. Typically, we do need more extra pole there to make sure that the lines can go through without causing any issue. So that's what you're seeing there in the middle of your screen, and then some more pole shifts on Simcoe to accommodate the spacing of the poles. Now, just two more slides of this. And I know all the slides that I've just shown are quite zoomed in. What we will post on the website is one consolidated map of all of the changes all together so you can get a view of the whole project. These are zoomed in to allow me to speak to them a little bit more and for yourself as customers to sort of see your property with its address and see where that might be in relation to a pole change or a new pole. So here, this is the intersection of Balsam and Bryan. Again, these two lines are intersecting and connecting together. So where that happens, we have to have a new pole and an anchor to be able to manage the forces on that pole line. This, you can see, this is if you look closely here, right below that new pole and anchor, there's a triangle with many red X's on it. And if you've driven by there, you know there's a large transformer bank that's located there that's got 3 large transformers on a pole. So one of the benefits of the project is that we're actually able to remove that. We are converting the voltage in this area, and that transformer can be removed because we are upgrading the voltage and it's no longer required. So you will see that removed from there. I'm sure the residents at 221 will be happy about getting that out of the way. And then there will be a new pole just anchoring that line there and down the laneway at the end of College. And then finally, looking at the end of Balsam Street where it connects here to Simcoe, a couple of pole shifts, similar amount of poles coming down Balsam, but just in order to anchor the pole, you can see that often in order to service the customers, we've got the line on the south side, but the service comes all the way across the road and then over. So we need that pole because it's just a bit too far for us to run the service from that pole line directly to the customer. So we've got a pole there running the service and then into the customers on the other side of Balsam Street. So that wraps up all the changes and the shifts. As I mentioned earlier, you can look at this presentation, but you can also look at the entire map that will be posted on our website afterwards if you have any questions about it. So when can you expect to see us? You've probably already seen us there. As Hunter mentioned, our forestry, so any of our trimming around our lines or trimming for access for our crews has already been done. That was done last year. The engineering staff has been in there in the last month, surveying and staking. So what staking means is exactly how it sounds. Our staff put a wooden stake and the top of it is spray painted red and it has S&C on it. That stake indicates where a new pole or a new anchor is going to be placed. So they're doing that in preparation for the construction crews to come in. So they'll be coming in at the end of August and setting those poles where the stakes are located. And then once they're done the pole setting this year, there will be probably, you'll see a sort of break in action and the overhead work will start in the winter next year. We often have with our crews, we will set the poles at the time of year where the ground is thawed. So it's easier and more cost effective for them to get the poles in the ground. But we have the overhead work. So any of the work running new wires or connecting done in the winter where you don't need to manage or deal with any of that frozen ground. So that's expected to be done at the end of July. And once we're done, we will notify the other attachments on the pole. So that's our communication partners, so that's T-Baytel, Rogers, Shaw. Let them know that we would like them to transfer over to the new pole. And that wraps up our project work. There will be a second phase of this project coming. This is Parsons-High Phase 1, but there will be stay tuned, exciting. Parsons-High Phase 2 also coming, and we will have another customer engagement for that as well.
So when can you expect to hear from us? So if you're watching this video, this is our first point of conversation with you about this project. Whether you heard from us from an automated call as a affected customer or from our social media, thank you for tuning in. You may receive an optional forestry notice. This is only in the event that we have to remove any additional forestry due to construction or something that happens during the project. As Hunter noted, we've already been in the area and done any necessary trimming that came up in our planning. You will be contacted directly by Synergy North if we have additional forestry needs in your area. As well, you'll receive a notice of the project. This comes by letter mail, and that'll be coming out later this week or early into next. These notices usually come out about 3 weeks prior to our construction beginning. So as Carla noted, we will be coming into your area in August. And lastly, planned outage notices. These notices come to you via automated call about 1 week in advance to when the outage will take place. As well, these notices are posted on our website. So if you've received a call from Synergy North and you would like more information about the outage, please refer to our neighborhood notices page on our website. To reiterate what Carla said earlier, to make sure that you received all the correct notifications, we do encourage you to update your contact information with Synergy North. This is something you can do by contacting our customer service department, either via phone or email. This is very important, especially if your mailing address or contact information has recently changed. It's especially important for our outage notices so that you know you will have a planned power interruption during the extent of this project. For this project, if you have any additional questions, especially one specific to your property, if you've noticed something on the map or in anything that Carla presented today, please do not hesitate to reach out to our Synergy North customer service team. We are always here and we're happy to help. And we want to make sure that you are as informed and comfortable with what's happening in this project as possible. Thank you for taking the time to watch this presentation. We appreciate your cooperation and understanding as we work to improve the reliability and safety of the electrical system in your community. We look forward to keeping you informed every step of the way and look forward to seeing you in your neighborhood. Thank you.